Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jakita. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, hello. I am a relationship coach, mom, wife, entrepreneur, and if you don't know from the title, I am a millennial and I am such a proud millennial. And so, welcome to my channel. Today, I want to talk about how to overcome fear of commitment. And so, I think this is such an important topic to talk about because, especially in this day and age, and if you are a millennial or Gen Z, I think social media has really created this frenzy for us where we are like so afraid to commit to people because there seems to be so many goals or standards, or you're afraid of being put out there, or you're afraid that, like, it just seems like everybody has low tolerance. It seems like people are not really trying to look for anything serious these days. And again, that is an appearance, that is an assumption that social media oftentimes can look like and portray to people, because there are so many negative things or so many rules now that people want you to meet, and oftentimes we can feel like, well, that's not me, or oftentimes we can feel really insecure or anxious meeting people and trying to have something serious, because we're so worried that we may not be it may we may be you know hitting their deal breaker, or we may be somebody that they notice a red flag with, right? Like, and so we are sometimes at this point in our lives so conscious of how we act and what we do and what we say, because social media has made us feel like we need to be constantly on edge or constantly on our game. And so I realized, and as a relationship therapist and a relationship coach, there are so many people whom I meet who are struggling, and they want to commit, they want a relationship, but they're really struggling to find that partnership, simply because they are having a hard time committing and even going further with anybody. So they kind of keep people at a distance. They kind of they treat every relationship very superficially. They don't really try to get too vulnerable with the people, and or they only show certain parts of them. And so therefore it doesn't allow for a deep connection. So again, I want to, share with you guys today important ways and really essential ways on how to overcome fear of commitment. So if you know someone who is afraid to commit, if you know your brother, sister, cousin, uncle, whoever, if you have people in your life who are afraid to commit, or if you are a person who are afraid to commit, especially since you clicked on this video, I want you to don't forget to subscribe below, as I will be talking about more relationship things. Again, I will be sharing all of my tips and all of my perspectives on relationships, and especially love, as a millennial woman. And also, I want you guys to share and like this video. So I'm going to get right into it. When we think about overcoming our fear of commitment, one of the ways is to really reflect on those fears. Why are you feeling afraid of commitment? What sort of things has happened in your past? What relationships, what connections to your parents? And these are really things that sometimes we can't really ask ourselves or understand just by speaking it out loud or thinking about it. Sometimes we can. And so I always encourage people to get a pen and piece of paper when you're watching my videos, because I really want you to reflect on some of these questions and some of these things that I'm saying. What are some of your fears, right? Like, what things in your past has contributed to you feeling afraid of commitment? Do you even know that you're afraid of commitment? Have you recognized, and are you self-aware that, like, maybe I'm not building a deeper relationship, or I'm not pushing anything or being assertive with people about anything, because at the moment that they do something wrong, or the moment I feel too vulnerable, I kind of back away. And so I really want you to explore that. Those can be connections, things that have happened in your family, in your childhood. Those can be things, there can be things that happen in past relationships that have left you with wounds. So again, explore those fears and ask yourself, why are my beliefs, and what has happened that they have contributed, that, those things have contributed to me being afraid to attach myself to somebody. Another way to overcome your fear is to really take it slow in relationships, right? Like, sometimes, I don't know who mentioned it, but someone mentioned, like, this is the popcorn era, right? Like, this is the instant era where we want everything fast and we want it now and we don't want to wait. And if it's not happening as fast as we want, we start to develop some sort of fear or anxiety or anxiousness about, like, maybe this is not it. Maybe this person don't really care about me that much. Maybe they don't really love me. And I really think that it does a disservice to us all, because it does not allow us time and space to allow things to just develop naturally, right? Like, we always have to be like, oh, on social media, this person got engaged in 6 months, or their spouse proposed in 1 year, and so they got married the next, and then they're moving in, and then they're going to this trip, and they're traveling, and they're doing these things. And oftentimes that can put a lot of pressure on us to feel like if we're not moving as fast in our relationship and things are not developing, that we need to be worried, or that there's something for us to worry about, or that we are not progressing in a natural way, and or the love is not deepening, and that is not true. So if you are a person who are trying to overcome your fears, it's so important for you to take things slow, and again, appreciate and pay attention to the little things that that gradually progress in your relationship. Pay attention to those things and really focus on gratitude, really focus on the positive, and not really give so much attention to the negative things. And I only say that in a sense because if you are a person who are overcoming or have a fear of commitment, it's oftentimes that you're looking for a way out. Like, oh, one red flag, I'm out. This signals that this person is not safe. It could signal that the person is not serious. And so if you have a fear of commitment, I want you to be mindful that it's often and it's possible that you can already be self-sabotaging the relationship because of the fact of your beliefs that I don't know if anything will last. I don't know that a relationship people can be faithful, or I don't think people can be with one person for the rest of their lives. Like if you have, or I don't think people are going to be faithful or true to you or honest, those sort of limiting beliefs can really impact you and make you look at anything that someone does, any little natural thing, any disagreement, any one dishonest thing, or any movement or behavior that's the opposite of what you would want, can really put you on edge and make you think that this is not it. So again, take it slow, pay attention to the positives. Of course, it is so important that you guys set values, set boundaries, you identify your values so that you know going in, and this is especially true for everybody, but especially true for you if you are having issues in terms of commitment. You want to really make sure that you identify those values, you establish boundaries, you know what you like and what you don't like. And it's so important to develop, this self-esteem and self-awareness about yourself, which is, part of this take it slow, because you really want to establish, who am I? What do I want? Know things about yourself so that when you meet other people, you can distinguish your feelings from theirs. You can distinguish, like what you want versus like, okay, I'm in the moment and it just feels good, or maybe I'm afraid right now, but really I know deep down that this is not something that I should be worried about. But you really can address those anxieties. So again, work on taking it slow, but also work on that self-awareness, that self-development piece, right? The next part, and the next another way that you can work on overcoming your fears is really thinking about vulnerability, right? And every time I say the V word, people are like, oh yeah, I don't really think that I practice being vulnerable, because oftentimes vulnerability and the ability to be vulnerable is developed in childhood, and it starts with our caregivers, people who've taken care of us, right? And just even, I mean, if you, some people will argue it starts in the wound, right? Like in how your mother cared for you, or just how maybe just like those responses, and maybe just her connection to you and how safe you felt. And as a baby, just coming to this world, were you able to cry? Were you able to be vulnerable? Were your needs met? When you did cry, who came to your rescue? Did you feel safe mentally, emotionally, and physically? And again, sometimes you can get that from childhood, and you can, be a well-developed, well-supported person, emotionally connected person from, your family. They've demonstrated that. But then you go out to the world and you have these relationships that kind of break you down and break down that vulnerability. And so then now you have trust issues. And so sometimes, we have relationships that are unhealthy for us, and it just really does not always help our self-esteem. Sometimes it makes us so vulnerable, and we are afraid to be vulnerable. We are afraid to connect with other people. We are afraid to give people chances to love them and to love us. And so oftentimes we are scared to go too deep with people because we are not sure that things are going to work out. We are not sure that these are people that we can trust. We are not sure that these people are going to have our back, and that if we cry, or if we fall, if we need something and we're in need, that these people are going to come to our rescue, and they're going to do it without bringing it up later. They're going to do it without throwing it in our face. They're going to do it without telling everybody that, oh my gosh, I helped you, and I got this person through this. So it really is important for someone who's trying to overcome their fear of commitment to practice vulnerability. But again, I always say that it's hard to be vulnerable around people whom you don't really feel connected to and whom you don't trust. And so you want to make sure that you are being intentional about your circle of people, because your friends, your family, your spouse, your work people, whoever, you want to be, intentional about creating a circle of support that allows you to be vulnerable, that allows you to trust, that allows you to connect deeply with people. And when things are not always good and they don't always look good, you have someone to go to. Okay. So just keep that in mind. It takes a trusting relationship and connection with somebody in order for you to feel safe being vulnerable. Otherwise, you kind of just do the opposite and you end up, making yourself feel worse, or, proving to yourself like this is why we can't be vulnerable, or we can't connect with other people, or we can't go deep, because people are not safe. They're not to be trusted. If you are having issues with vulnerability, I would say look up Brene Brown. She's really amazing at talking about vulnerability and shame and guilt. She's a thought leader. She's a philosopher. I think, she is just a researcher. She talks a lot about vulnerability. So look her up. Also, don't be afraid to seek out professional help. Reach out to a relationship coach. Reach out to a therapist or a consultant, someone who can help you specifically on vulnerability. Someone who can help you just even work with you on commitment. So if you can find a relationship coach or a therapist who can help you with commitment issues and all of those things, seek professional help when you can. If you can't do it by yourself, but if you can, go ahead and read books. And if I find any more information, I will definitely link it in the description if there's some videos and things that I feel like you guys can really benefit from. So just consider that. The next point that I wanted to talk about was setting realistic expectations. Again, this kind of goes back to my second point of taking it slow, because oftentimes we are not setting realistic expectations, right? About like for our partners or for the people that we're dating, because of the fact that our fears are there and they're heavy and like they're present and they're loud, and they're saying to us, okay, look for any and everything that lets you know that this person is not it, right? Your brain sometimes is wired to protect you and to make sure that you're good. And so sometimes we go out and we meet people and we like them, but then they do one thing that we don't like, or they say something, or they misbehave in one way, or maybe they don't answer a text or a call at a certain amount of time, or whatever it is. And then we start to feel slighted. We feel like this person is not it. Like maybe they're busy. Oh, you're too busy. You at least have 1 minute in the day to call me or text me. Like sometimes we take all of these things and we set our bar so high because of our fears that we are not being honest and realistic about our expectations, and like what really should we expect of people, how much time, patience do we need to have with people, how much grace and compassion do we extend to people. So I would say make sure that you're setting realistic expectations, because again, if you have commitment issues, if you're a fear of commitment, it's oftentimes that you will look at the negative things first. You will be looking for those red flags, and you will completely miss and or take things out of proportion, blow them out of proportion. When they're very small things, you'll blow them out of proportion, because again, I already know like people are not to be trusted. I already know that nobody's really going to be there for you, right? Like that's what your brain is telling you. So then you're going to try to look for things that confirm that, and which is not the proper way, and it's not going to get you a healthy relationship. You want to break those old and bad habits, okay? So consider that. Again, it's important to have a circle of support, because that way you can really be around people who give you positive feedback, healthy feedback, people who are growing themselves, and they're not going to just say, no, it's okay if you like that. I understand. Like, I get it that you don't want to, connect with people. And yeah, they should have called you right away, but they're not helping you to really challenge your thinking and to think like, okay, realistically, they probably were busy. Sometimes people can't do this. Yes, it's good that they called you, but just because they didn't call you by a certain time, that doesn't, like, it really is important for you to consider your expectations and have people there to support you. My last point for today is really about, again, just seeking professional help and working on personal development. So often we want to get into relationships so bad, and we're so focused on being the right one. We're so focused on finding the right one. We want to find people who sees us as good enough and worthy, and and see us as loving and caring, and see us as the best person in the world. We oftentimes look for people who are that for us, and we forget that we need to really work on developing that before we get into a relationship. And so again, if you are not a DIYer, right, if you're not a person who's going to go out and read the books and do the personality tests and watch the YouTube videos and attach yourself to a mentor, or join these groups, or find people who are on the same lane, or in the same lane, or where you want to be actually, and attach yourself and see what they're doing. If you are not that person, then it's really important for you to go out and seek professional help outside of that. And again, you can go to a relationship coach, you can go to a self-esteem coach, you can go to a personal development coach, you can go to a therapist if you have some deeper things that you need to work on and you can't really overcome those, or those coaches can't really help you with that specific thing, but you really want to seek support. And it's so important that you don't let time pass by, because if you don't develop and you don't understand your fears, if you don't really challenge your limiting beliefs and understand that you are demonstrating limiting beliefs about your life and about your relationships and about others, then it is possible that if you do get into a relationship, you are not going to be able to sustain that relationship or show up as your best, simply because you already have this self-sabotaging behaviors, thoughts, beliefs, expectations in the back of your mind. And so now, okay, my partner do one thing, I'm out, or I'm blowing it out of proportion, or I just feel like I want to get really depressed and I'm crawling under a rug, or maybe you start to seek other people for some closure and for some pleasure because you're afraid to even talk to this person about it, because again, the overwhelming fear of like, this person is not who I think they are they going to be another person who disappoint me, can they be what I need them to be, can I trust them? And so that is all I have for you guys today. This was like literally on my mind. And so I'm like, let me talk about this. Again, I am a relationship coach. And so if you need any support, I am helping millennial women. I am helping all women, but especially I love helping my millennial women work on their relationship skills, work on personal development, self-esteem, work on really clarifying their personal goals and their relationship goals, so that they can get the best relationship that they want, and so that they can, they can become the best person that they need to be in order to be in that relationship and attract the partners that they want, right? So we need to be healthy before we get into a relationship, because relationships are very challenging. Like, they are a journey, but you need to have some standards. You need to have a set of values and, beliefs of your own, and have done the work before you get into a relationship, so that things can run a lot smoother. Okay. So again, thank you for watching. For those who have tuned in today, if you have not subscribed, please do. Have not hit the like button, please do. Share this with someone you know. Don't forget to visit my website at jakitareed.com. Completely make sure that you come back to my channel and like and hit the notification button, because I will be back with another video. Peace out.